The Bardo thodol. The Bardo thodol, an ancient Tibetan scripture also known as the Tibetan Book of the Dead, reveals the dark and mysterious journey of the human soul for 49 days after death. In this belief, the newly detached consciousness will wander the Bardo realm, the dimension between death and rebirth, facing a series of terrifying visions and gripping spiritual trials. The soul will encounter monstrous demons, wrathful deities with terrifying faces, and experience bewildering hallucinations accompanied by blinding lights and thunderous sounds. Most distressingly, the soul may see the family left behind but be unable to communicate with them, creating profound suffering. Without proper guidance, the soul risks getting lost as a hungry ghost or trapped in a painful cycle of reincarnation. To avoid this fate, Buddhist priests would recite secret mantras from the book for 49 days, leading the soul to avoid the traps of the Bardo realm and attain liberation or the pure Buddha realm. The Bardo thodol is not just a spiritual guide, it is a roadmap through the darkest and most mysterious dimension that every soul must face after death. Papyrus of Ani. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, or Papyrus of Ani, originally titled Book of Coming Forth by Day, is an ancient manuscript more than 3,000 years old that contains a guide to the soul's journey in the afterlife according to ancient Egyptian beliefs. It contains 200 magical spells, prayers, and ritual instructions that are believed to help the spirit cross the Duat, netherworld, filled with monsters and deadly traps. The most crucial part is the weighing of the heart scene in the Hall of Ma'at, where the heart of the dead is weighed against the feather of righteousness by Anubis, while Thoth records the results and the monster, Amit, stands ready to devour the sinful soul. If the heart is heavier than the feather signaling a life of sin, the soul will be devoured by Amit and experience the horrific second death. If passed, the soul must recite 42 confessions before 42 gods of judgment, including declaring never to have killed, lied, or stolen. After passing all the tests, the soul can join Osiris in Sekhet Aru, Meadow of Reeds, the abundance-filled paradise of ancient Egypt. The book was usually buried with the mummy written on the wall of the tomb or placed in a sarcophagus as a spiritual passport to immortality. Corpus Hermeticum. Corpus Hermeticum presents a unique vision of the soul's journey after death through 7 cosmic planetary spheres, a process of profound spiritual transformation. In this belief, the soul must make an ascent, where each sphere becomes a point of cleansing from negative traits acquired during life on Earth. From the moon sphere that cleanses the ability to grow and decline, Mercury that purifies from deceit, Venus that releases carnal lust, the sun that erases ambition for power, Mars that cleanses aggression, Jupiter that releases greed, to Saturn that purifies from lies. After passing through these 7 spheres, cleansed souls enter the Ogdoad realm, the 8th dimension, beyond planetary influence, where they join the divine force and other enlightened souls in mystical ecstasis, singing the hymn of silence. However, for souls who are still strongly attached to the material world, they will be pulled down and forced to reincarnate. Only those who have attained gnosis, true spiritual knowledge, during their lifetime can achieve total liberation and unite with the divine mind, attaining ultimate spiritual perfection. The Zohar. The Zohar, the central text in the Jewish Kabbalah tradition, is a mystical work written in the 13th century by Moses de Leon in Spain, but claimed to be derived from the teachings of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai from the 2nd century. It presents a profound esoteric interpretation of the Torah and the universe in ancient Aramaic. The Zohar reveals the concept of Ein Sof, the infinite, an aspect of God that is beyond human comprehension, which manifests itself through 10 sephirot, or divine emanations. These sephirot form the tree of life that connects the spiritual realm with the material world, starting from Keter, crown, to Malkut, kingdom. Its mysterious aspects include the teaching on reincarnation, Gilgul, where the soul must complete tikkun, spiritual improvement, through several lifetimes. The Zohar also discusses hidden spiritual realms, including Gan Eden, the spiritual Garden of Eden, and Gehinnom, the realm of soul purification, as well as the existence of Kelipot, the spiritual skin or shell that hides the divine light. The text contains secret rituals to achieve Dvikut, union with God, including meditation on Hebrew letters and combinations of holy names. The Zohar also contains prophecies about the coming of the Messiah and the age of redemption, as well as knowledge of white magic for spiritual protection. Most interestingly, the Zohar teaches that every human action in the material world affects the balance of the cosmos and the flow of divine energy. The reading and study of the Zohar itself is considered a spiritual act that can bring mystical enlightenment and protection. The Caldian Oracles. The Caldian Oracles, a mystical text written around the 2nd century AD, is a collection of revelations claimed to have been received from the Chaldean gods by Julian the Theurgist and his father. The text became an important foundation in the tradition of Neoplatonism and the ancient practice of theurgy, divine magic. Its core teachings center on the concept of 3 interconnected worlds: the Empyrean world, the realm of pure fire where the First Father dwells, the etheric world, the realm of angels and demons, and the material world. Between these worlds flows the current of fatherhood that brings divine creative power and descended souls to the material world. Mysteriously, the text reveals the Urgi rituals, sacred magical practices to elevate human souls back to the divine realm. These rituals involve the use of symbola, sacred objects, incantations in an ancient language called voces maistike, and techniques of invoking the presence of the gods through blessed statues. The Caldean Oracles also discusses spiritual entities such as Ienges, divine messengers, Senakis, maintainers of the order of the cosmos, and Teletarchs, rulers of initiation. The text teaches that the human soul is surrounded by astral vehicles that can be activated through rituals for spiritual journeys. The darker aspects of the text include warnings about material demons attempting to trap the soul in the physical world and magical techniques to counter the evil forces. The text also contains apocalyptic predictions of cosmic warfare between the forces of light and darkness. The Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch presents a startling vision of the afterlife through Enoch's angel-guided spiritual journey. In his mystical vision, the souls of the dead would enter 4 great chambers located in the west, each with a different destiny based on their life in the world. The first chamber is designated for the souls of the righteous who are holy, illuminated by light, and possessing a spring of living water. The second chamber is reserved for the righteous who died as martyrs, where their spirits cry out to God for justice. The third chamber, a darker place, holds the souls of sinners who die without facing judgment in the world. They experience torment until the day of the great judgment. The fourth chamber, the most horrible, is the place for the souls of sinners who have received vengeance in the world. They are tortured and totally isolated from other souls. The book also describes Sheol, a dark place under the mountains of the west, with burning fire and tormenting angels. Interestingly, Enoch describes a tree of life that will be given to the righteous after the final judgment, while sinners will be thrown into a valley of damnation full of eternal fire. The book emphasizes that every soul will face the consequences of their actions in the world, with no possibility of changing their fate after death. The Upanishads. The Upanishads express a profound view of the soul's journey after death through the complex concepts of karma and reincarnation. According to these sacred texts, when a person dies, the soul, Atman, will follow one of 2 paths: Devayana, path of the gods, or Pitrayana, path of the ancestors. Those who have attained the highest spiritual knowledge of Brahman will follow Devayana, passing through fire, light, daylight, the bright moon, the 6 months of the sun moving north, the sun, moon, and lightning, before finally reaching the realm of Brahman and attaining moksha, liberation. No need for reincarnation. Meanwhile, those who are still bound by good karma but have not yet attained true enlightenment will follow Pitrayana, passing through smoke, night, the dark moon, and the 6 months of the southward moving sun, reaching the moon realm to enjoy the fruits of their good deeds before having to reincarnate again. Most interestingly, the Upanishads explain that those who die with bad karma will immediately be reborn in a lower form, either as an animal, insect, or plant, depending on the severity of the karma. The text emphasizes that the quality of one's mind at the time of death largely determines the fate of one's soul journey, hence the importance of meditation and spiritual contemplation throughout life to prepare for this fateful last journey. The Secret Doctrine. Helena Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine presents a complex view of death as part of a multi-layered cosmic spiritual evolution. According to Blavatsky, after physical death, humans will experience a series of gradual discharges from their various subtle bodies. First, the physical body decomposes, followed by the etheric body, which lasts a few days, then the astral body, which experiences a period of second unconsciousness. The soul then enters Kamaloka, the astral realm where there is a separation between the high spiritual, upper triada, and lower quaternary aspects of the soul. In Kamaloka, the soul experiences a kind of post-death dream that reflects its quality of life. For souls still strongly attached to worldly desires, this period can be an intense and lengthy experience. After purification in Kamaloka, the spiritual aspect of the soul will ascend to Devachan, a state of subjective bliss where the soul assimilates previous life experiences and prepares for the next incarnation. Meanwhile, the lower aspects of the soul will decompose in the astral plane. Interestingly, Blavatsky taught that while in Devachan, the soul can communicate with other souls who have similar spiritual vibrations and even receive guidance from the masters, Mahatmas. This process continues to repeat in the reincarnation cycle until the soul reaches spiritual perfection and is free from having to reincarnate. The Cabalian. The Cabalian, a Hermetic text published in 1908 by the Three Initiators, presents a unique view on death through its 7 universal Hermetic principles. According to this text, death is not an end, but a transformation of energy as per the principle of vibration and polarity. When a person dies, his or her individual consciousness, which is a manifestation of the universal mind or the all, undergoes a vibrational shift to a higher level, breaking away from material limitations into subtler mental realms. The rhythm principle prescribes that the soul will experience periods of swinging between subjective and objective manifestations, while the gender principle causes the synthesis of life experiences in the higher mental dimensions. The principle of correspondence, as above, so below, suggests that consciousness retains its identity, but in a more subtle and universal form. Most interestingly, Kybalion teaches that masters who have reached the highest vibrational levels can choose to remain in contact with the material realm to assist the evolution of other human consciousnesses. The principle of causality guarantees that every thought and action during life will affect the state of consciousness after death, so that death is merely a continuation of the infinite process of mental spiritual evolution on the way back to the all. The Tao Ching. The Tao Ching views death through a profound yet paradoxical perspective in accordance with the Taoist principle that transcends life-death duality. According to Laozi, death is not the end, but a natural transformation of vital energy, Chai, in which the spiritual component of human beings reunites with the Tao, the absolute principle that gives birth to and reabsorbs all existence. When death occurs, the Hun, spiritual soul, and Po, material soul, separate, with the Hun returning to heaven while the Po returns to earth, reflecting the yin-yang principle of cosmic transformation. Interestingly, Laozi teaches that those who have achieved enlightenment and lived in harmony with the Tao will experience death as a smooth and natural transition, like returning home, while those who go against the natural flow of the Tao will experience fear and suffering in this process. The text also implies that sages who have achieved oneness with the Tao can transcend the ordinary life-death cycle, reaching a state of eternal life, not in the physical sense, but as a consciousness that is merged with the Tao's eternal principle. Death, in the Tao Te Ching's view, is not something to be feared, but rather a natural part of the endless transformation in the 10,000 things that flow from and back to the eternal Tao.